You're driving home, same road you take every day. Then the lights come up behind you. A tail light, maybe? A rolling stop? Nothing serious. You have a firearm in the car. It's legal. You bought it legally, you carry it legally, and you have never broken a law in your life. The officer walks up to your window, and in the next 90 seconds, the choices you make, not the gun, the choices, will decide whether this stop ends with a handshake or with your car torn apart on the side of the road. Most gun owners think the law has this figured out for them. It doesn't. And what they don't know is exactly what gets them in trouble. So let's ask the questions nobody answers for you until it's too late. Can an officer search your car just because there's a gun in it? Can he order you out of the vehicle, even if you've done nothing wrong? Do you have to tell him the gun is there? Does that
depend on your state? And the big one, if you say the wrong thing, can you hand him the power to search everything you own without him ever needing a reason? Thoughtful. The answers are not what most people assume, and every one of them comes down to a line the courts have spent 50 years drawing. Before we get into it, this channel breaks down your rights in plain English, the real law, no political agenda, no fear-mongering. If that's useful to you, subscribe and hit the bell. 2 seconds, costs you nothing. And tell me in the comments, have you ever been pulled over with a firearm in the car? What did the officer ask you? Your stories help everyone watching this prepare for theirs. Here's the misconception that gets responsible people in trouble. People believe, my gun is legal, so the police can't do anything to me. That is wrong. And believing it is dangerous. A legal firearm is not a force field. It does not lock the officer out of your car. But here's the other half nobody tells you. A legal firearm also does not automatically give him the keys to it either. The truth lives in between, and it's governed by a handful of clear rules about what an officer can do and what he cannot do. Learn those rules, and you stop guessing at the worst possible moment. Let's start with what surprises people most, the things an officer is allowed to do, even when your gun is completely legal. 1. He can order you and your passengers out of the car. In Pennsylvania v. Mimms, the Supreme Court held that during any lawful traffic stop, an officer can order the driver to step out, period, for officer safety. Later, in Maryland v. Wilson, the court extended that to passengers. No special reason required. So if you're asked to step out, that's lawful. Comply. 2. He can take temporary control of a firearm he can see. Under Michigan v. Long, if an officer reasonably believes you could be dangerous and could reach a weapon, he can secure that weapon and check the area within your reach for officer safety. Many courts have applied this, even when the gun turns out to be perfectly legal. The reason he's allowed to do it is safety, not because you committed a crime. 3. He can frisk you if he reasonably suspects you're armed and dangerous. This goes back to Terry v. Ohio, the foundation of stop and frisk law. And here's the part that trips people up. At least one federal appeals court, the Fourth Circuit, in United States v. Robinson, held that the legality of the gun doesn't decide whether the frisk is allowed. Armed plus a lawful stop can be enough. Other courts have drawn the line differently, which is the whole point. This varies by where you are. Now the other side, the limits. This is where your rights actually live. 1. He can't stretch the stop out forever to go fishing. In Rodriguez v. United States, the Supreme Court was clear. A traffic stop can only last as long as it takes to handle the reason you were pulled over. An officer can't hold you longer just to dig for something unrelated, not without new, specific reasons. The clock matters. 2. He can't search the whole vehicle without probable cause. There's something called the automobile exception, going back to Carroll v. United States, that lets police search a car without a warrant. But it has a price of admission, probable cause. He needs a fair, articulable basis to believe the car contains evidence of a crime. A legal gun, by itself, is not that. 3. He can't turn one legal act into automatic suspicion. Lawfully owning a firearm is not, on its own, evidence that you've done something wrong. The trouble starts when a gun gets stacked together with other facts, and that's the nuance most videos skip. Courts almost never decide these cases on one fact. They look at the totality of the circumstances, everything together. Picture two stops. In the first, you're calm, your hands are visible, your gun is legal, and there's nothing else going on. A search built on the gun alone stands on very shaky ground. In the second, there's a legal gun, plus the smell of something illegal, plus a passenger giving nervous, contradictory answers, plus you changing your story about where you're headed. Now the officer isn't relying on the gun. He's relying on the whole picture, and that picture may well give him probable cause. Same gun, completely different legal situation. It depends, and it depends on the facts you can't always control and the words you can. 3 things quietly switch off your protection. Know them cold. Trapdoor 1. You're not legally allowed to have the gun. If a prior conviction, a restraining order, or any other disqualifier bars you from possessing a firearm, none of this applies. The gun isn't a neutral detail anymore. It's evidence of a crime. Trapdoor 2. How the gun is stored. Many states have specific rules. Unloaded, locked container, certain part of the vehicle. If an officer sees a gun stored in plain violation of your state's law, he's not acting on a gun is present. He's acting on a visible legal violation. The gun is legal. The way it's stored may not be. Know your state's storage rules before you put the car in drive. Trapdoor 3. You say yes. This is the big one. If you consent to a search, almost every protection we just covered disappears. Courts have long held that voluntary consent waives your Fourth Amendment objection, and you can't take it back later. You hand over the glove box, the trunk, the console, your bags, all of it. So here's your playbook. From the moment the lights come on, pull over right away and do it cleanly. Signal, slow down, move to the right. Don't make the officer wonder what you're doing. Control the scene. Engine off, window down, interior light on if it's dark. Both hands on the wheel where he can see them. Don't go reaching for anything yet. Talk before you reach. If your documents are near the firearm, say so first. Tell the officer where everything is and ask how he'd like you to proceed. That one sentence removes surprise, and surprise is what turns calm stops dangerous. Know your state's duty to inform. Some states require you to tell the officer you're carrying. Some only require you to answer if asked. Some require nothing. Learn yours in advance, and if you're asked directly, don't lie. A lie can turn a routine stop into a criminal one. If he asks to search, decline calmly. You can simply say, "Officer, I don't consent to any searches." You're not arguing. You're not lecturing. You're stating a right. Expect a pressure line, and don't take the bait. If you've got nothing to hide, why not let me look? That's not a legal argument. It's a nudge designed to make refusing feel like guilt. Repeat yourself politely and stop talking. Stay calm, stay quiet, comply with lawful orders. If he orders you out, step out. If he secures the weapon, let him. You protect your position by being unmistakably cooperative while still declining consent. You win the argument later in a courtroom with a lawyer beside you, not on the shoulder of a highway. Comply with the lawful, decline the optional. Don't reach without telling him. Don't lie, don't consent. Say it calmly, say it once, then say nothing. Here's what to walk away with. A legal gun doesn't shield you from a lawful search, and it doesn't hand the officer one either. Your rights at that window are real, but they're only as strong as your willingness to use them calmly and not give them away. The officer is doing a job. You're protecting your life and your freedom. Those two things don't have to collide if you know the rules before you need them. Know your state. Stay calm. Don't consent. And drive home. If this helped, subscribe. The next one could be the rights you need on the worst day of your life.